Hello everyone. If you've been watching the last few videos, you know first off, I am still recovering from COVID, so I sound a little bit nasally, but I feel like myself again. So while I might not sound 100%, I'm feeling so good. So today's video is sponsored by Nordstrom, and it's not just any Nordstrom beauty haul. Today we are going to revisit my most repurchased, most used higher end beauty products. Runs the range from luxury to just department store level. I do have two new things to introduce that are replacing two of my tried and true. As always, everything is listed down in the description box in the order in which I use them here in the video, including accessories, my shirt, and all those good things. So I am starting with a bare face. Skincare is on. The last step, as always, is the most used product in my collection, the Supergoop Unseen Sunscreen. This tube looks so sad. It is down to the point where when I apply it, I squeeze. I just have the very tiniest bit left. I do have my backup ready to go. If you missed my decluttering video where I went through my entire skincare cabinet, it was years of stuff accumulated in there. Watch how that went. Get tons of reviews while it goes. I'll link that up there and down in the description box. But I do have my backup ready to go that I got during the anniversary sale. The anniversary sale is a great time to stock up on the good stuff. Lots to talk about, so we're going to speed through the application process. If you've watched any of my Get Ready With Me videos, you've seen me do this a million times because these are my most used products. First and foremost, the product I get the most use out of and the most questions about. This is the Trish McEvoy Instant Eye Lift Under Eye Concealer, and it comes in 3 shades. I use it in the shade 1. It is meant to be applied before you put down anything else, before foundation, tinted moisturizer, whatever you're using that day. Apply it in a triangle. I mean, ideally you apply it down the side of your nose and then up like this. I generally apply it a little more sparingly, like on that side. The peach tone or salmon tone, depending on which of the shades you reach for, will counteract the blueness under your eye, and it helps make it look lifted, especially when you draw it down in a, I guess, isosceles triangle with the point down. If you're one of those no makeup people, this is a great product for that because it instantly brightens, blends right in. It doesn't look like I'm wearing makeup, but I just look awake and refreshed. We will go back in with an actual under eye concealer that brightens. This is more of a corrector, but first is the foundation. And of all the foundations that I own, and I've owned a lot, this is the one I've repurchased the most, and it has steadily increased in price. And I know it's a budget killer, but it is, well, I'm putting my money where my mouth is because I just bought a brand new bottle of it. This is the La Mer Soft Fluid Longwear Foundation, SPF 20, although don't depend on this for your SPF, use a sunscreen instead. I have it in the shade 120 Ivory. I am down to the very tiniest bottom of this. I do have a tool to scrape it out, and I will because this is $140. But I'm gonna use the brand new one today because it's just easier to pump. And I generally just do one pump. There's no right or wrong way to apply this. I really hate it when people say to concentrate it on the center of your face and then spread it out. Well, it depends on what's going on your face. In my case, the center of my face is pretty clear. It's the outer edges of my face that have more pigmentation. So apply it where you want it. And I just like to use more of a dense foundation brush and kind of pat and then buff. And it blends in so quickly. I feel like this is most effective on older skin for reasons that I do not understand. Well, we just have more issues. I think when you have younger skin that's in a generally good condition, you can get away with using a lot less expensive foundations and you don't need this particular one. This foundation is also fabulous because it is long wearing without being drying. I do have dry skin. I don't know if I mentioned that. And as the day goes on, it just kind of melds even more beautifully into your skin. It doesn't crease, it doesn't fade, it stays on a good 10, 12 hours. This is my everyday foundation, but when I have an event, I reach for this for sure. I have been using the same under eye concealer every single day for years now. It is not sold at Nordstrom, so normally when I'm applying my under eye concealer for a Nordstrom video, I cut away. But today, I'm excited to share one out of the 2 new products we're gonna be talking about today. It is a new release from Charlotte Tilbury, and it is her Beautiful Skin Radiant Concealer. And while I'm sure this could be used all over your face, I chose it specifically for my under eyes, and I used her shade chart to figure it out. Now, clearly, I'm very pale. So I went with One Fair. In most of her foundations, I wear 2 neutral, and it said if you wanted to brighten your under eye, this was the shade that you should go for. It's a doe foot applicator. It has a little divot inside it to collect more product, and you don't need a lot. It is very full coverage. I'll just do one side. I like to apply it with a dampened beauty sponge. Another question that I get is how to use a beauty sponge. It is a sponge, so it is meant to be used wet. Look how quickly that blended in, and it brightens and it lifts, and it's gonna sit all day beautifully under there, and it doesn't mix with my mascara and make my mascara run. It works incredibly well. Now I am gonna use powder all over my face eventually, but we're still working with some wet or liquid products, and so you don't wanna add your powder until you're all done with all of the liquidy stuff. But I do wanna set my under eyes because, even though this makes no sense, it in fact is true, if you don't powder under your eyes, your concealer will move a little, it will shift, it will crease. It's just a very mobile part of the face. So I got the other second new product that I'm going to talk about to replace my go-to, which up until now was also from Nordstrom. It was the By Terry Hyaluronic Loose Setting Powder. Very messy, but very great product. There's a new one on the market. Again, from Charlotte Tilbury, obviously made to go with the concealer, and it's the Airbrush Brightening Flawless Finish Complexion Perfecting Eye and Face Micro Powder. It's a mouthful. Beautiful, kind of white, almost shimmery, compact. Basically the same concept as her other pressed powder, but this is plastic. I like this better. The shade is fair medium. There's also a medium deep. And just take a little brush, and we're just gonna pat with our finger first to make sure that there's nothing collecting, and then I'm just gonna pat under. This has the faintest sheen to it. I've heard other people say they see glitter. I do not see glitter. I also need glasses to see close up, so that might be part of the problem. And I have used it to set under the eyes and also down the middle of my nose just to do a little subtle brightening. I will say when you're on the fairest side, the brightening is limited. With any brightening, there's only so much whiter a person can get. So I think this sustains the brightness that I get from the concealer. It might add a smidge more, but you're not gonna see as dramatic an effect unless you have slightly deeper skin tone, which is probably the majority of people watching. So I think you'll really enjoy this powder. The next most purchased product, this is my second tube, this is my third tube, I just bought another one, of the Westman Atelier Face Contour Stick. I'm late to the contour game, but I am fully committed to it, and let me show you what I do. I love contouring my nose. I just want my nose to look skinnier. So I draw it down the side, and I make sure the part that I want the skinniest is the more bulbous end to my nose. So I just go in a little, make it a little more narrow on the sides there. We'll blend in a moment. And then I do a little bit on the cheekbones and a little bit under the jaw. Now you don't want it to draw your face down. So instead of going under my cheekbones, which I've been doing for quite a long time, I'm going right on top of it and just to the corner of my eye. That's it. This isn't like a full-on Kardashian thing, just a little bit. Now I also have more of a square face, so if I want the sides to recede a little bit, I can also do that. If you have always wanted to try contouring and you haven't, I think this is a really beginner-friendly product. I've used many, and this one really allows you to draw it exactly where you want it, and as you can see, it blends really easily. And I also appreciate that as I blend it in, it doesn't lift the product underneath it. Last of the liquid products, I think this is my third tube. Well, this is my second. I bought a third. It is technically a liquid blush from Charlotte Tilbury, the Beauty Light Wand in Pillow Talk Light, but it is so light and so shimmery. So I use it as double duty as a highlighter and also as a blush. So I apply it directly to the tops of my cheekbones. It's kind of hard to see because there's not a lot of difference in tone between the blush and my skin. And I draw it a little bit onto the apples of my cheeks, just a little bit. You can see it there. And then you can pat it in with a brush, a sponge. I usually just use a brush, and I pull it down onto my cheek and then pat, 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 pat. I will go back over this with powder highlighter later. Now to set everything before we move on to the rest of the face. How many of these have we all gone through? This is the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder, the Granddaddy, the Holy Grail, the YouTube classic. You can use this to set under your eyes. It is just so user-friendly. I'm using a very light amount. I don't need a lot. I have really dry skin. I really just use setting powder so that the products that I apply over the liquid products don't stick and get patchy. That's the only reason why. It's not for shine control. It's not even to lend any more opacity, at least not today. It's just so that my products do not stick to each other. Let's talk bronzer and my most used and most repurchased, the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Bronzer. It's a classic. It's beautiful. It smells good. I've hit pan on this one again. It does come in several shades if you have more pigment than me, but milk chocolate is the best. And if you're like me and you are getting over a cold or COVID or some kind of illness, the first thing to go is the color in your face. So if you want to fake looking alive and healthy, slap on that bronzer and don't be judicious. Just buff it in. I told you we were gonna pile on highlighter. Well, this one is my most used highlighter, my go-to. They say it's limited edition. It goes in, it goes out. So right now it's in on the website. Grab it while you can. This Laura Mercier Rose Gold highlighter is meant to go with every skin tone. It just sort of magically transforms. You can pile it up and get quite a highlight, or you can just gently place it on the top of your cheekbones. I like to put a tiny bit at the end of my nose. I know a lot of people like to put it on their Cupid's bow, but as you get older and you start worrying about hot flashes, it's just gonna make you look sweaty, so skip this part of your face. Stay up here. We did use that liquid blush, but I still wanna add a little bit of powder, and my most purchased and most used, and this one travels with me everywhere because I did buy it in the smaller size, it's the Nars Blush in Impassioned. It is just a basic pink, and it goes with everything I wear. And I just place it towards the tops of my cheeks and then buff it back. When it comes to brows, I'm all over the place. I've played with quite a few brow pencils, brow pens, all the things, but the one I've repurchased the most, and it's still in my collection, is the Dior Brow Styler. I have it in the shade Universal. I just quickly brushed my brows up, and I'm just gonna equally as quickly fill in, quick brow tip, just go on the bottom like you're drawing an outline. Go along the top, fake the outer edge if you need to, most of us do, and then just fill in a little bit. That's it. Then I'm gonna go in with my new one, the Anastasia Brow Freeze. For those of you that have brows that move around during the day, I think you'll really get a lot out of this. For eyes, this one is hard. So instead of my most repurchased, which would be the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize, the cream shadows, I bought so many of those over the years, I'm gonna go with my most used in the last couple of years, which is the Too Faced Born This Way, the Natural Nudes. You can just get so many looks out of this, and this is one of those palettes that goes in my bag when I travel. And I'm just gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna use this matte brown shade and this matte brown shade in the crease, and then just slap on this shimmery shade on the lid, and then we'll get on to mascara. Eyes are done. As far as mascara goes, this is the combination that's my go-to. It's the Lancome Cils Booster Lash Primer, I believe is what it's called, and I literally just bought another tube of the Lash Idole from Lancome. You can't go wrong with any Lancome mascara, but the one that I've been repurchasing the most lately is Lash Idole. The Monsieur Big is my second favorite one. I'm just gonna put these two on, and then we'll get to lips. Let's shellac all this in place. Again, most repurchased because I am very heavy-handed with the setting spray, and this is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush setting spray. Oh, and it feels really good. Okay, everything is locked and loaded. Let's do lips. So lip liner is not something I reach for every day, although I really should, because it just lends that much more to a look. The one I use the most is the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat in Pillow Talk. Mine is Sad and Dull, and I'm just gonna lightly outline my lips before we get to my absolute favorite lip product. Hang on. The last of the makeup products we're gonna talk about, if you've been playing along, I think you're gonna know what I'm talking about. It's the Westman Atelier Squeaky Clean Lip Balm, which is the worst misnomer. It's the worst name of a product because it's not a lip balm. You think of like a waxy, thick, goopy solid. This is a lip gloss that has the properties of a lip balm in that it is very moisturizing and it feels so luscious on the lips. And my favorite color is this Barely There color called Choo Choo. This is a true lip enhancing shade. It's a bit of an investment for a lip gloss, but I feel like it's worth it if I'm gonna reach for it and use it over and over and over. And then the last thing I wanna talk about, because it's another product that I've repurchased three times. It's a scent, and it is the Tom Ford Lost Cherry. I bought the travel size once and then 2 of these bottles. It is the most unique, luscious, beautiful scent, and now that we're moving into fall, it is even more appropriate for fall because it's so warm and a little bit smoky and spicy and just outstanding, and one of the most well received. I get so many messages from people who have bought this on my recommendation and are so in love with it. Now the full Eau de Parfum bottle is quite an investment, as all Tom Ford fragrances are, but I highly recommend the travel atomizer, which is still expensive for what it is, but it is refillable and it's a great travel atomizer. So here you have it, a full face of my most repurchased, most used high-end beauty products, all from Nordstrom, all available right now, all linked down below in the description box. So please do check it out. I have shades listed and prices as well if you want to make a more informed purchase before you hit click. Thank you so much to Nordstrom and Nordstrom Beauty for sponsoring this video. Let me know what you'd like to see from Nordstrom Beauty next month. Until then, be well, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!